Jenny Espinosa with Just Wish Foundation. Today we are joined by Jason Parker from Osseo, Wisconsin, whose tragic experience in life actually carved a path for him to help others, especially those who are faced with a life-changing decision when it comes to their beloved pets. Thanks for joining us in Just Wish, Jason.
Thank you for asking me on. I was looking forward to this all day.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Jason. But let's go back to that really tragic moment in your life back in was it 2014?
Yes.
When your dog Gunnar was hit by a truck. I cannot imagine what was going through your head at that time, but take us back to that moment.
Yeah. So I was working a part-time job that evening, and I had walked down to our mailbox, which was probably 100 yards away from the house, and grabbed the mail. And then I got in my vehicle and left for work. And Gunnar got let out later on that evening, and he followed my tracks down to the end of the driveway, thinking that he was going to go for a walk with me. And unfortunately, we have very little traffic on our road. And just unfortunately, when he went out in the road, he was hit by a passing truck. My wife called me. I was at work, told me that Gunnar had gotten hit. He was pretty busted up. I immediately told my boss I have to go. So I got in my truck. First call was to the after hours line at our local vet clinic. And I told my wife to meet me there, get him loaded in her vehicle, and I meet her there. And we got there, and when I opened the door, he was on her front floorboard of her vehicle, and he was crying. And I'd never heard that dog even whimper. He was a 110-pound lab, and he was just goofy and tough, and just the nicest dog you ever want to meet. And he was crying, and man, I'll tell you what, my heart just broke. I could see that he was missing a couple teeth. His nose was bent a little bit in the wrong way, and he could not use any of his legs. So they did X-rays on him. We looked at the X-rays. She didn't really see anything. The X-ray isn't unless it's a pretty bad break. It's hard to really see a fracture in the spinal column. I knew that he had a couple of broken ribs. But I sent the X-rays to a childhood friend of mine the next morning, because Gunnar did not move when we got him home. Put him on a bed and slept right next to him all night, and he did not make a movement overnight. And so I called a friend of mine that's a veterinary surgeon down in Florida, a childhood friend of mine, and I sent her pictures of the X-rays, and she told me immediately I needed to get him to a professional veterinary surgery center, which in her research, the closest one to me was in Minneapolis at the University of Minnesota Vet Clinic. I'm a volunteer firefighter. I got a piece of plywood. We pretty much, I wanted to stabilize him, so that we didn't cause any more damage. So I made a makeshift backboard for him. We strapped him down, put him in the back seat of the truck, and went to the cities, dropped him off. They did some testing on him. They came out with, they just told me that, it's either euthanize him. They could do nothing. He had probably a 10% chance of walking again. They could wrap him, and that would give him about a 20% chance of walking again. Or they could do surgery, an MRI and surgery, to find out exactly where the injury was in his back, and put rods in. And, and he'd get a 50% chance of walking again. And I decided I made the decision to give him the best chance that I could to ever walk again. And we did the surgery. Gunnar.
So Jason, euthanasia was never an option for you at that moment?
No. I actually was asked 3 times whether I wanted him euthanized, and I wouldn't do it. My dogs are, for life. They're family, and you get if you have a family member that's disabled or elderly, you, just their family.
Yeah.
You don't euthanize them. You make the best of it, and I think that's what we did. Gunnar had the surgery. He never did recover. He ended up after the surgery. It was like, well, we spent, I bet you close to $8,000 on his surgery and his MRI. And I mean, this is for a dog that I bought out of a junkyard for $100. And but he was my best friend. And he, when they released him, finally had come home. We just didn't have the. I started researching how to care for a paralyzed animal because I had no idea. You just these injuries, you're never prepared for it emotionally or financially. You're just
Yeah.
not. Things happen, and we decided to try to make lemonade out of lemons, and I started researching the best way to care for him because it's not like they give you a handbook on how to care for a paralyzed animal when you walk out of there. They kind of give you the basics of what you need to do for him, and we had to express his bladder because he couldn't go to the bathroom on his own. So you have to massage the bladder from the outside in order to make urine come out. If you don't do that, they can get a bladder infection. But as I was researching how to best care for him and how to let him have his best life, I came across a canine wheelchair. And the model that I was looking at was made by Walking Pets. And it looked like a fairly good product to me, very adjustable. It seemed like it had all the things that I needed for, to get him back up and mobile again. And we had to wait 6 weeks before we could even put him in a wheelchair. And we just didn't have the money to purchase a wheelchair for him. And a local newspaper had found out about our story, and a lady named Christina O'Brien, she was a reporter for that newspaper. She interviewed me, and I didn't know that they had done this, but they set up an account in my name and Gunnar's name at our local bank, and they wrote a story with that interview that I gave in the Sunday paper called Giving for Gunnar. And people from all around the reading area began donating to Gunnar's ongoing care. And that's how we afforded his first wheelchair. That showed me that there was real goodness in the world.
Yeah.
I guess I never realized it before, but there was people that were dog lovers from all over the reading area that donated, and I could never thank them enough for doing that. So as me and Gunnar were sitting in the basement, probably a month after that story came out, I was trying to think of ways to, repay these people without being able to repay them. So I decided to pay it forward. So I came up with the idea of Gunner's Wheels Foundation, and I named it after Gunnar because of him, that never would have came to fruition. And Gunner's Wheels program is a lifetime loaner wheelchair program for animals all around the world.
Wow.
We launched it Gunnar was hit in February of 2014. And in August of 2016, it took me a long time to get all the pieces together for this nonprofit. And I had to partner with different wheelchair companies so that, I could make my donors' money go farther. I started it with $500 of my own. And I had a couple of wheelchairs that were donated to me after I had brought up via the social media. And a couple of wheelchairs got donated. In August of 2016 is when we officially launched Gunner's Wheels. Our first recipient was a dog in Texas that had been hit by a vehicle. Her name was Hope, and she was taken in by a local veterinary clinic. Great lady Paige contacted me Somebody, and my story with Gunnar, I tried to chronicle the story and be real about it and show people what we were doing and had to do for his ongoing care, and that that those posts get shared over and over again. And somebody messaged me and they asked me if I could help this poor dog down in Texas that had been hit by a vehicle. And so I turned to staff and I was like, well, this is where it's going to start. And I found a used wheelchair that was in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I drove over there about 3.5 hours and bought that wheelchair off of Craigslist and made sure that everything was there. And I sent it down to that dog named Hope. And because of that wheelchair and her, I guess her physical therapy regimen that she had at the vet clinic, she recovered fully.
Wow.
And now she runs like the wind. This was a dog that would have been otherwise euthanized, in a big city in a shelter. She would have been euthanized. And I think that because of our program, we gave her a chance, and she recovered, and she was adopted by a great couple down in Texas. And I still see her on social media once in a while. It always makes me smile because that was about almost 3,500 carts ago.
Wow. I when I heard about your story, Jason, and I mentioned it to you, it's personal to me because I was at that moment years ago when I had a dog, Oscar, that whose spine ruptured and his hind legs were paralyzed, and the vet told me that his quality of life was not going to be the same. He was going to be in pain even if we had the surgery, and his recommendation was we put him down immediately that night. And when you're kind of in that moment of confusion and despair, and you're like just so devastated, and the vet tells you that is the recommendation, the tendency, at least in my case, was to listen. But part of me was like also wanting to fight for my dog.
Yep.
But then there were all of these unknowns. How am I going to care for him if he's disabled? How much is this going to cost? It was just so daunting and
overwhelming.
We ended up, Oscar ended up passing, and to this day I still feel guilt, that I should have fought for him. I should have believed maybe there was a miracle, maybe with that dog that you were talking about, with Hope, that there could be hope, and that who knows, that these animals are strong, they are resilient. And so when you encounter dog owners, dog parents, that they are just forever grateful for you giving them kind of that push, that clarity, that hey, you can do this with this wheelchair, can do miracles like it did for that dog. How do you feel about that when it becomes more than just loaning a wheelchair? It becomes more kind of giving them a lease on life.
Yeah, so I try to talk to most of the owners that receive a wheelchair from us, and to be honest with you, I just granted a wheelchair the other night to a lady that contacted me from Arkansas, and she has an elderly dog. She needs a quad cart, and listening to that dog's story and everything that dog has been through in her life, and I won't go into specifics, but she's had a pretty rough life. And when I grant a wheelchair, a lot of times on the phone, there's tears on both sides of the phone. It's a feeling that I can't describe. It's there's a lot of emotion because you're speaking with someone that I think it's noble to ask for help for something other than yourself. And for this lady to reach out to me, I mean, they couldn't afford a wheelchair for their dog, and we're talking, this dog's gonna she's 7 years old. And she still has, quite a bit of life in front of her. And, they were at the end of their rope. They didn't know what to do. And, they contacted me via email. I got her phone number from her. I called the lady and granted the chair. And I always try to talk to the owners. I want to find out more about what's going on with their animal, because I don't want to make a decision, because they're putting their dog's health at that point in my hands. And, I don't ever want to make a decision for a dog that would cause more injury to that dog, or, hamper the healing process. I want to put them in the best device possible, to make sure that a dog that I've never met, either recovers or is able to ambulate, in a somewhat normal fashion, get back to normal, going for walks, playing out in the yard, going outside to go potty. There's a lot of things that go into having a paralyzed dog that you don't really think about until they're paralyzed. Most people, you put your dog on a leash, you take them outside, you go to the bathroom, and they walk alongside of you. And with a special needs animal, there's a lot more that goes into it, as far as the daily care and, getting them into the cart, getting them out of the cart, making sure that they're on somewhat even ground where they aren't going to tip over and be scared of the wheelchair. But like I said, it's a very humbling, I guess, experience when I get to speak with some of these owners, because I was there and I relate with exactly what they're going through. And just like, with your dog, there's, I always want to give that. And I wish you would have known, with your dog.
I wish I felt I wasn't alone. I think at that moment I felt alone. It was
I always tell people,
bed,
this is my personal cell number. You can if something doesn't
what I'm
right.
saying is, I think you created this community, Jason, that's kind of, it became a support group for people, almost like,
yes.
Because you're able now to be like, hey, these are people that have been through this, that can help you, that can help you navigate this really, daunting journey.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I was going live last spring. I was going live once every other week and sharing tips and tricks and different products for the special needs community. And that was kind of fun, because it was nice to interact with some of the folks that were on our page. I'm probably going to start that again this spring. Wintertime is kind of hectic for me. Summer, of course, everybody's camping and doing their thing. But the nice thing about lives is you can, you can save it to your news feed, and people can go back and look at something, that you have shown or done or built. The special needs pet parents and special needs community are some of the best people on social media that you may or may never meet. Everybody's there to help each other out, and we're all more concerned about what's best for the animal. You want to make that person's life easier too by showing them how to do things. There's no dumb questions in those forums. There's just ask the question if you don't know, and if I don't know the answer, I'm going to find out for you. I mean, I'll ask around to people that are total experts on special needs animals, and I'll figure out an answer, I'll give you the best answer that I can. And I've got, since 2014, I've got 9 years of knowledge about caring for a paralyzed animal or a special needs animal. And I haven't just helped out animals with wheelchairs. I've helped out blind dogs with halos. It's kind of a collar that goes on them, and it has a tube that goes in front of their nose so that, they can navigate around the house safely, so that they're not running into walls, they're not running into furniture. When they're outside, they're not running into a tree. They can kind of navigate there around almost like a blind human. They use a walking stick, and these are halos. It protects the head, and it also alerts them to a potential danger in front of them. We've I've come up with a couple of different products for deaf animals, for blind animals. I've had experience with pretty much all three special needs with being paralyzed, with blindness, and with being deaf. And I've been pitching those products to different companies. I haven't quite had any luck yet, but I know that they would work.
But at this point, Jason, your program is a loaner program for wheelchairs, right? Or do you have all of these other like aid and tools for disabled animals?
So the one company that we're partnered with, Walking Pets, I have access to anything that I need for a special needs animal, whether it be blind or paralyzed or missing a limb. There's another couple of nonprofits out there that do prosthetics and wheelchairs. There's probably only, I think there's only about 8 of us around the world that have a wheelchair program. Our wheelchair program is a lifetime loaner program. We loan the wheelchair out. It doesn't cost them anything. And when the dog is done using it, whether they recover or whether they pass on, we just ask that you send the wheelchair back to us so we can match it up with the next needy animal. That worked great during the pandemic because we had pretty much suspended fundraising during the pandemic. Our loaner program worked great. We do have a waiting list of some dogs because we haven't been able to, afford a few wheelchairs, but we do have a waiting list of some animals that are waiting for that wheelchair to come in. And I try to refurbish and get the models of the wheelchairs out to my volunteers as fast as I can so that they can match them up with the next needy animal. We do take donated wheelchairs, which works really nice. And Walking Pets, who we're partnered with, if somebody gets a hold of them and say, hey, I'd like to find a place where I could donate my wheelchair, they try to push them towards Gunnar's wheels. And that really helps us out because that's a chair that I don't have to buy. These wheelchairs run anywhere from $100 to $500, depending on what the animal needs.
So to date, how many wheelchairs have been lent out or how many animals rather have you helped?
We're just about at 5,000 animals, and
wow.
We've got almost 3,500 wheelchairs out there. There's when people send the wheelchairs back, I came up with an idea a few years back. I wanted people to enclose a picture of their animal and tell their animal story and how the cart helped them. I think that accomplishes 2 things. I think that it helps with the grieving process because you're able to tell your animal story. And I think also that it provides help for the next recipient because they open that box and they see that picture of Benji in there and get to read Benji's story. Now they have a connection with that animal that used that chair before. And there's friendships that have been forged because of a wheelchair, because Benji used it and now Snoopy's using it. And, these people have become friends, on social media. And I think that's really a neat thing. The hard thing for me, and I try not to get emotionally invested in these animals, but it's hard not to when you love animals as much as I do. It's hard for me to read some of those stories and see those pictures because now I'm emotionally invested. You feel that owner's pain of losing that animal because you already know what the story is. That's why you got that chair back, is the animal probably passed on. And, you read that dog's story and how much that dog or animal meant to that person. And, it makes me want to, get that wheelchair out faster. I want to be able to, get that wheelchair out and share that dog's story, but it's Gunner's Wheels has been a very humbling project for me. We don't we don't make any money on Gunner's Wheels. 100% of what we raise goes towards purchasing wheelchairs, parts, cleaning supplies, and it's like I said, when you folks contacted me, about your potential donation, and I talked to you on the phone about this. It's almost divine intervention. Whenever we run a little bit short on on funds for shipping or to buy a wheelchair for a dog like that poor dog down in Arkansas, it's always like a higher power sends someone our way and grants us the means to continue on. I paid for wheelchairs out of my own pocket. I paid for shipping out of my own pocket, just because I believe in what we're doing. And I think that, even us as a small nonprofit, we're trying to just make the world a better place. And, show people that, like those folks that donated towards Gunner's Care in the beginning showed me that there is good in this world. And with all the nasty that's around, in the news and in the newspapers, it is good to show people that there is good and good people out there. And I guess that's all I can ask is to, treat people the way you want to be treated and be good to your animals, and give them the best chance that you can, at a happy life,
Well, Jason, Gunnar has since passed, right? But when did Gunnar pass?
He died October 6th of 2017. That was a hard day for me. He had a vet appointment that afternoon, just a routine vet checkup. And every morning before I went to work, I always got down on my knees and told him be a good boy and scratched his ears. And that morning he licked my nose. And I came home at noon to pick him up for his vet appointment. And I believe that when he licked my nose, he told me goodbye. And sorry, it's still bringing back. It's kind of raw still. That was 6 years ago, and it still hurts like it was yesterday. But I got home and his spirit had left his body, and I was mad at that dog for a long time. I felt like he just abandoned me, and I think that I'm over being mad at him, but I think that for one, he was telling me goodbye. And the second thing is, I don't think that he wanted me to make that decision, to have him put down. I didn't know that anything was wrong with him. But it hurt. I still see signs. I don't think that when a dog dies, I don't think that their spirit ever really leaves you. I think their aura sticks around you, and especially
I truly believe that too. I believe that too. I think they're just around us and watching what we do and guiding us. And Gunnar may have passed, Jason, but I think his name is in the foundation, the organization that you created. Everyone that you've helped knows about Gunnar's story, and I think that's leaving behind a legacy, and the stories just keep adding up. Wonderful stories. Something that could have been tragic has turned into, a story of joy and a story of love, really, because it's really about love. It's our love for our pets and their love for us. And, we at Just Wish Foundation, we truly believe what you do. We hope you help more and more animals that need your help, more and more families that need a clearer picture of how they should care for their pets. And they deserve it. They deserve all our love. And on our part, we want to help you, and we're here for you, and just keep giving the love, Jason. And really, that's the best way to honor Gunnar, and we honor you for that as well. So thank you.
I sure appreciate it. You folks are doing good in this world too, and boy, I was surprised to hear from you, and I'm happy I did. And it's great to finally be able to see you face to face. Hopefully one of these days I can come out there and meet you.
For sure. Thank you so much, Jason.
Yeah, no problem.